All right, I think I should be starting up now. Hopefully I'm on the right YouTube video thing and everything, because this has been a fucking hassle. YouTube really makes it hard to figure out how to stream correctly. And now I'm not sure if I'm live. I'm not sure what the deal is. I'm hoping I'm actually broadcasting to somewhere, because it would be helpful if I were broadcasting to somewhere. But hey, if it is working, hello everybody, welcome to, there we go. All right, I'm live somewhere. Not on the page I was supposed to be, though. All right, well, fuck it. What's up, guys? Welcome to another live Spag stream here. Hopefully everything is working all right. I'm just going to turn the audio on because nobody fucking cares. All right, there we go. All right, we're live. Let me tweet this shit out while we do it. But welcome to another live Spag stream where, of course, it wouldn't maintain that charm of being an independent content creator if I didn't screw up a little bit in the beginning. New live stream on now. What am I talking about today? Jesus Christ. All right, talking about this Wheel of Fortune guy. So you can see some of the stuff I want to talk about already on the screen. It's funny, like you would think you'd get better as you go every week, and instead I appear to be getting worse as we go. And more. All right, and more. I probably should have queued up the tweet first, like I did last week. I don't know why. Like some weeks, I'm sure you guys can relate too. Some weeks you're just on the ball. Some weeks you're feeling like you got it all. New live Spags. Stream on now. All right, it's tweeted out. That's as good as it's gonna fucking get for me today. But hey, guys, all right. So welcome. We're all here now. And by we're all, I mean me. And that's really the main part that has to be here. I wish I could probably edit this part out when it goes on YouTube afterwards, but fuck it. What can you do? That's life in the fast lane sometimes. So welcome, guys, to the Spag stream. I got all my stuff here. I got beer. I got this West Coast IPA, which I just learned yesterday. I haven't seen it at all since I moved out to LA. And I'm from New York originally, if you're not aware of that part. And I thought it was like a Philadelphia beer for some reason. For years, in fact, I assumed that Green Flash was a Philadelphia beer. And I don't know why. I don't know if somebody told me that at some point, or I just I don't know, rationalize it in some way, like, oh, the Eagles are green. Of course, that beer company that has green, that's called Green Flash, of course they're from Philadelphia. In fact, they're from San Diego. You can see here on the label, I think I'm holding it up right, born in San Diego, California. So it not only has been, in fact, local to me on the West Coast, it's probably been available in a bunch of places, and I haven't had it once, but I'm having it today, a little West Coast IPA, because it is a West Coast day. I got a lot of stuff I want to talk about today, and the first one that I wanted to talk about, I'll get right to the content after stammering around for a few minutes trying to figure out how to work a live stream. This video here, which came across my feed, and I retweeted it, and it got a lot of action on it coming from me, which I was happy with, but it also kind of hurts when people like the content that you're retweeting from somebody else, and not your own stuff, but that's life in the fast lane when you're an internet content creator. And I want to share this video with you guys because I think it's one of the most interesting videos I've seen, and also, like, I really want to argue about it a little because it's kind of asinine what happens in it. Oh, good. My toolbar thing froze on my MacBook. That's good. Hopefully you guys can hear this. I had to move my mic over to the laptop because my laptop toolbar thing on the new MacBooks, that touchscreen thing, froze for me. So you can also watch this on my Twitter at Chris Spags, which might be better. Who fucking knows? The build up is worth it, by the way. I know this is kind of a long clip to be showing. Oh, why would it freeze up? Why wouldn't it? This guy's doing a great job guessing. Seems like everything's going smoothly for this Indiana grad.
Mythological hero Achilles. Can't accept that. Okay. Show me.
I'll solve. Yeah. Mythological hero Achilles.
Yeah.
Unfucking real, man. This guy's face, his fucking face, oh, he is so mad. So I personally would say that is the most egregious game show miscarriage of justice that I've ever seen in my life. I really wish I could fix my toolbar thing so I could actually hear if that audio went through okay. Sorry if it came through poorly. But basically, this dude guessed the entire puzzle on Wheel of Fortune, did the whole thing, had every single letter guessed correctly, did it all, which to me is the whole thing of Wheel of Fortune. You're guessing letters. It's not a reading game. It is a word guessing guessing game in which you're just grabbing fucking letters out of the hat, doing full alphabet soup or alphabets, depending upon your preferred brand of letter-based food. Just fucking blows my mind that guy wouldn't win $1 million fucking thing he could have won. Like, how is this guy not suing right now at this very moment? I really don't understand how you wouldn't do that. Because, like, and Pat Sajak is such a cunt about it too, which I might be colored a little bit by him being kind of annoying on Twitter these days, kind of an annoying media political guy. But, I just don't get how this guy didn't get the prize. Like, if he calls Achilles Achilles, who cares? Like, he still pronounced it correctly, like, based upon what the spelling could be. Should he know that the Greek guy? Should he know the tendon? Should he know all of these various things with the usage of the word Achilles? He absolutely should. But if he doesn't, that doesn't change the fact that he guessed the entire thing correctly. He spun the wheel. The wheel spinning is the main fucking part. Like, that is the wheel spinning and guessing letters. That's what Wheel of Fortune is. When you try to make it more than that, I think it's kind of fucked up. So I'm very much anti this guy not getting the prize. If I were him, I would talk to a fucking lawyer. I don't know when that show was. I know Wheel of Fortune does record things pretty early in advance and then stores them up. But I really just don't think that was a good call by them, and also really just an unfair one that this dude should be protesting. And the question that the Twitter person on Twitter who actually tweeted it out initially said it was the worst Achilles incident, or which was the worst Achilles incident, KD or this guy. I would say this guy, because this guy, this was his shot at money. Kevin Durant apparently is going to get a max contract regardless. He's going to get my dog is going to town on her. So my stupid allergic dog is in the background just eating herself alive. Very smart move. The second I have to do content, she decides, oh yeah, let me just go to town and bite my thighs aggressively. Can't get an allergy shot until Tuesday though, because the vet's always filled to the brim with pets who need work. So that's a lot of fun. But yeah, I think this guy clearly, out of the Achilles incident that you could rage, oh, that one's at least 2 to 3 years old, Sigma-Y says. Okay. Well, it's going viral again. And either way, I would still say that the fact that it's been 2 to 3 years then I would think it deserves to have actually had the lawsuit filed. If you've had 2 years to simmer on that, that guy, maybe he's super smart. Maybe he's got a lot going on. Maybe he's got a whole bunch of money in his accounts now, but he's not going to get that $1 million quick fix from just spinning a wheel correctly and then guessing a puzzle that's related to it. I just would be surprised that dude didn't sue. And I don't know, man. Maybe they gave him a little payoff. Maybe they gave him a little money under the table to be like, hey, we know this is fucked up. We know we made a bit of a faux pas with you and you couldn't pronounce Achilles like an idiot. But he went to Indiana, man. Oh, here, April 12th, 2014. Thanks, Sigma-Y. All right, Sigma-Y is on board. Didn't know that. Didn't know it was that old. But either way, still, I think that only makes me angrier that I never saw any follow-up of this and never saw that moment where this guy got his retribution, because I've never seen a dude more fucked over on a game show than that. I'm not a big Jeopardy James guy. I didn't really care about his situation too much. You could say that maybe he screwed himself over with his final answer on Jeopardy when he lost, which, spoiler alert, by the way, Jeopardy James lost about 2 weeks ago. So hopefully you weren't saving those all up on your DVR. But yeah, this dude, I think, to me, I've never seen a guy get screwed harder in a video clip. And I think that's one that bothers me. And the fact that I didn't see it 3 years ago also kind of bothers me, or 5 years ago. I don't know what the fuck. What was I doing 5 years ago? Oh, you know what? I was actually between jobs 5 years ago. In fact, on this very YouTube channel, I had left the company that this YouTube channel was, moved over to Barstool, and it just started my job at Barstool then. So I guess that explains why I didn't see the clip. But nonetheless, I don't know. That dude, if he still probably can sue now, and if he can sue, I would think he should. And I think I would fully advocate for it. I'm not a big frivolous lawsuit guy, but when you get fucked over for mispronouncing a word on a game show that's littered with idiots, I think that's just the wrong move. You could pronounce Achilles every once. You could have said Achilles and gone with, like, would we have then been able to race shame them for being mad at the Spanish pronunciation of Achilles? I would say we wouldn't. So that would be one that I think this guy deserves a redo on. One other thing I wanted to hit on, and it is timely today because it's Game 6 of the NBA Finals tonight. You can see my sweaty fucking shitty long hair right now that I don't know what to do with. This clip, so this came from my former employer at Barstool Sports, but I thought it was funny. So they did this thing, basically, you can see the video here, the tweet, Toronto Bar reacts to Kevin Durant's entry, and it was made during the time period where everybody was mad at Toronto, mad at them, and how they're all, how they're doing that whole thing. And you can see here, it's that old, so it's an old clip from a soccer game from last year. I think an English soccer play. I don't fully remember what it was. I think it actually has it down here. Oh, fans at Ashton Gate Stadium, Bristol, celebrate England winner versus Wales. So England beat Wales at the Euro 2016. Obviously, a sporting event that was near and dear to all of our hearts. But This clip went viral again because Toronto people took it literally, and they all replied and said, oh yeah, like this isn't real, by the way. Like media people from Toronto I saw replying to Barstool, and I saw the articles going around and going viral with it. And first of all, I don't know how you work in the media but don't know a viral meme clip. The amount of videos that have been made on Twitter with this England clip as the basis, there are so many. There have been so many clips of this that have been repurposed, of like the Game of Thrones ending when Arya stabbed somebody on Game of Thrones. I caught myself there. I probably still don't want to spoil that, even though it's been a few weeks now. Like that clip has gone viral so many times that I don't get how you work in media and theoretically you're aware of the culture, you're aware of stuff that goes online, you're aware of what people do. That is one that has been viral so many times, and they're to be reporting on it. I don't know if it's a Canadian thing, because I think there were American broadcasters who were also like, oh, classic Barstool, these liars with their fake clips. And it's like, it's clearly a Photoshop or clearly a video shop, whatever you want to call it. And I just don't get how you, in this day and age, how you work in media and you don't get, oh yeah, this thing that's been viral forever, they just reuse that. And then in fact, there were like people who tweeted things like breaking it down with like pointing arrows, like people love to do on the internet, like the Reddit detectives out there. They love to point out, oh, this isn't real. This guy's beard is photoshopped on, this whole situation there. So somebody went through that video and pointed out like the various England paraphernalia in the background and did all that. And it's just like, people are so fucking dumb and gullible, but when they know they're being had or they know that there's something that they know is fake, then they have to be the smartest guy in the room and be like, by the way, this is entirely fake and here's the reasons why. And it's like anybody with a brain would know that's fake. It really fucking blew my mind to see that go viral and to see people, I don't know, be so willing to just try to change the topic. Maybe that's part of it too, because I think a lot of people in Toronto were mad at the idea that, oh yeah, we look like assholes because some of the people in that arena did cheer Kevin Durant getting hurt, did cheer him being hobbled off and having to be picked up off the court by his teammates. Still from San Diego, by the way. Didn't suddenly become Philly beer while we were talking. I just think it's one of those things that is the internet at its worst, where you're getting people who are easily deceived, you're getting people who have to prove that they're not easily deceived, and also you're just getting people who are just completely unaware of the world around them, the internet world in particular, but the world around them really not a complicated thing to figure out. But unfortunately, the people of Toronto, the simple Canadians out there, I assume I don't have many Canadian people following me, and if I do, go fuck yourself. I think there's like a niceness to Canada that maybe that's part of it, where they're like, oh, we're all just so friendly. We assume we take everything at face value. And in reality, they're just dumbasses who don't know what England is compared to Canada. Two very different places. Canada once, I think, a part of England technically, but no, I don't know, to be honest, that's a weak spot in my history. Canadian history, not one of my strong suits, but I'm pretty sure they were owned by England at some point. So I don't know, if I were enslaved by a country at some point, I'd probably know when it's their video being pretended and passed off as mine. So that's probably something intuitive that they should have known. But either way, Canada, real bad look for Canada. Speaking of bad looks, Florida Chick-fil-A, a franchise owner arrested for child molestation. And this one I wanted to talk about because, so Chick-fil-A, I love Chick-fil-A more than anything. And when I was in New York, there were not Chick-fil-A's for a while, and I had it at one point, I forget when I was on a trip somewhere, and was like, okay, this is pretty good, but maybe a little bit overrated. Oh, the first time I had it actually at NYU, New York University in New York, shockingly, there's a Chick-fil-A in their cafeteria. And that was the only Chick-fil-A in New York for a while. And it was like this whole kind of, it was almost like a whispered secret between people where it's like, oh, you can go to the Chick-fil-A in like the NYU cafeteria and you can go down there. And they really didn't stop people in any way. They just kind of, you could just walk in. As long as you looked remotely college age, you could just go in there and get food. And anybody could be college age. So I think it was a pretty low bar to get in there. And they had like okay versions of Chick-fil-A. It was kind of like the mall, like dry heat lamp version of Chick-fil-A, but still good enough. But that experience wasn't quite enough to put me over the top. I still liked it a lot, but I didn't think it was crazy good. And then I had actual restaurants with it when I was on a trip. I think going to a cabin with my buddies, we would stop at this one Chick-fil-A on the way to the Berkshires and the Massachusetts, New England area. And I've always been pro Chick-fil-A, even when they were like super anti-gay in a bad way. And I support gay people. I support every sort of LGBTQ issue as much as possible, because it's like everybody should just be able to do whatever they want. They're people fucking docking and doing whatever they want to do with their butts really doesn't affect my life in any way. And I support everybody just being able to be happy. And if you want, it honestly applies to everything. You want to kill yourself, that sucks. Like you should have to take a course saying, hey, like life gets better. It's all great. But ultimately it's your body. If you want to kill yourself, go ahead. If you want to do drugs that ruin yourself, that's ultimately your like you're lots to have in life. And if you want to go do that, I think that's fine because it's your choice. And for an LGBTQ person, there isn't a lot of choice to it. It's just they are who they are. So, but at the same time, like they are who they are. But I am who I am, and I'm a man who likes fried chicken. So there you go. So not all stereotypes are true. Sometimes the white guy or the white-looking guy in a backwards cap can be the one who likes fried chicken. I personally like fried chicken quite a bit. In fact, I like it more than I care about them donating to weird shit. So I've always been okay with that. But I do think it's kind of funny that, like, that's the ethos, and then they have a child molester there, and also a child molesting woman, which I would say in some respect kind of empowering. Like, it's not, like, you see this headline, Florida Chick-fil-A franchise owner arrested for child molestation, say the cops. I think you would immediately think that's going to be a dude, especially in Florida. I mean, the various miscreant gentlemen have come from Florida. Lots of great guys too, lots of friends I have from Florida. But they all know there's a lot of fucking weird shit that goes down in Florida. And I think once you see this headline, I would immediately assume it's some dude with a shitty mustache or some dude who wears gingham all the time, but not in like a cool Southern horse racing guy way, but in more of like a creepy, I like wearing fabrics that allow my genitals to fully breathe while I'm in a walking distance of a schoolyard kind of situation. I think that's what I would associate with this particular headline. But in fact, it is a woman, so good for her. I guess probably shouldn't say good for her, but arrested Wednesday on 2 counts of lewd and lascivious molestation of a 15-year-old. Now, this is a girl too that she was molesting, but a 32-year-old woman molesting a 15-year-old. The alleged victim is now 19, so she's of legal age. She's come to terms with it. Bad look for Chick-fil-A though, and I think this headline too, I've seen it go viral. And it kind of makes me feel bad for Chick-fil-A because they certainly have not been the most corporately responsible based upon what you're supposed to be in 2019, which is just being cool with everybody, not, being a bigot in various ways and not holding people down. But people are going to see this headline and everybody who's like, oh, they donate to the Boy Scouts, that's anti-gay. Like people who are just jonesing for a reason to shit talk Chick-fil-A and to talk their friends, to guilt their friends into not going there and getting their delicious chickens and sauces, to be clear. It's not just the chicken. The sauces are really the main event. And I'm a guy who likes to load up on sauces in various ways. Fries with a bunch of sauces, in on that. Nuggets with a bunch of sauces, especially in on that. Give me your Polynesians. Give me your Chick-fil-A sauce. Give me actual Polynesian people serving me the Polynesian sauce while fanning me with one of those giant leaves. I would very much support that. So, but I think it's a bad look for Chick-fil-A and an unlucky break for them too, where out of all the people, you'd think the woman, you'd think you could trust a woman to not be a molester, but instead they're dealing with that. I thought this story was kind of fun this week. And it's one that I don't like doing stories so much here on this stream, but there weren't a lot of great videos and GIFs and stuff this week besides the 2 that I opened up with. So this is what we're going with. A man tells woman on a dating website he's a millionaire. After one date, she gives him a $75,000 check for them to buy a house. And he disappears before the second date. Name that state. It should not shock you. This is also Florida. Oh, yep, never mind. It's Georgia. Fuck. I saw on Twitter it was Florida. Apparently not. A man who police say defrauded women on a dating website had a chance to tell a judge his side of the story. Channel 2's Saisha Fernandez attended a preliminary hearing where John Martin Hill took the stand in his own defense against fraud charges. Fernandez learned it all started when the Gwinnett County woman says she met Hill on the social dating website Match.com. That's why we go Tinder and Bumble only here. We don't go to Match.com. Soon after their first date, she says they were supposed to buy a house together. What a fucking idiot. The woman went to the bank and handed Hill a check for $75,000. She also gave him an additional $8,500. Now she's claiming that Hill took off with her money. So at least she paid for the closing costs on the house. That's certainly a positive. I just don't get how you're that dumb. And I think this is something I talked about on my podcast, the Untitled Chris Spags podcast, which you can find on your preferred podcasting app. And I just don't get how you invest that much in a person right away, especially knowing what we know of there's so many people who are con artists out there. There are so many people that aren't what they seem, including Chick-fil-A restaurateurs who sometimes just don't know what they're doing to people out there. But a lot of people just present a front that you don't know. And if you're on a dating app or a dating site, or you're just out dating in general, you're meeting people out at a bar, you don't fucking know that person at all. So to rush into it in general would be, I think, a bad idea. But to also rush into it in a way where you're giving this person a $75,000 check for a house that you're going to buy together. And then also when they like spend that check and you don't have a house, like you don't have any paperwork, presumably, kind of a dumb idea to give that guy another $9,000. And I think that's one of those things where I'm fully team Wheel of Fortune guy. I mean, would fully support him in that clip. Think he's still, whatever, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, I don't care. He should still be suing Wheel of Fortune. This lady, I think he should be suing her for dragging his name through the mud. I think he should be the one who just gets to keep all the money. And if he does buy a house, that he gets to keep the house too, because what a fucking idiot this woman is. And I think that's something I've realized too. Like, I talked about it on my podcast, as I was starting to say. I talked about like the differences between dating in LA and New York and the stuff I've observed when I've really been active in it. Currently not super active in LA, but in general, I have been for stages since I moved out here. And I think that when you get past a certain age, people are just so desperate to believe anything. They're so desperate to not be the last one standing in the game of musical chairs that is the dating world, and not being married and being the single friend out of a friend group. And I think that's how you kind of land on a point where you're like, yeah, let's buy a house after fucking 2 dates, and then you give a guy an $80,000 check. And I sympathize with it. But in the same respect, I think for anybody out there who's listening to this or watching this, I think you really gotta not be an idiot with that, and you gotta be more comfortable with yourself and willing to not just settle for the first person who comes along and flashes a good smile, or if your guy has some nice titties on her and is willing to give you an $85,000 check or a $75,000 check for a house. All those things I think are very important in the process. Like, I certainly want women who are willing to give me checks nearing $100,000. That'd be delightful. In fact, not the worst idea, now that I think about it. There are girls in LA who have money, and I'm sure somebody out there would be willing to give me a check if I just like put on a suit and get, yes, I'm a respectable businessman who's deeply in love with you after one date. Let's go. Also, she probably put out on that date, so she got all sorts of weird hormones going in her head. Everything's stirring up for her. So I could see how one would do that, but I think you really got to just be like, hey, is this a normal thing? Is this like the best love I've ever experienced? Because if it's the best love you've ever experienced, and that guy is like, yeah, hey, I would like this $90,000 check, please, to buy a house for us, then sure, I think you go with it. But if it's probably like this was, which is just a dude who's a little bit smooth talking, kind of an average guy, probably gives you some red flags. I'm going to say for both men and women, don't give away that $90,000 check. No matter what you do, you're better than that. You can keep that $80,000 at $90,000. I keep forgetting the actual amount, even though it's there on the screen. $75,000. You could still keep, I guess in total it was math. 75 plus 85. 83.5 is what she gave up for the rights to bang this dude after one date and think they were getting a house. Just a bit of a downer overall, and not one that I would support any of you guys out there doing. You're smarter than this woman in Gwinnett County in Georgia, and you could do better. And don't settle. I would say more than anything. It sucks. It sucks when your friends are all married and you're not married. And in the same respect, it really doesn't suck, because then they ask you about things and they're clearly jealous of your side of the equation, even though they're happy. They love their family. They might have a kid. They love their kid. The kid's really great. It brings them a lot of joy, and it gives them a sense of purpose for sure. But that doesn't mean they're not jealous of you being able just to fucking swipe, or being able to go on Match.com and deceive a woman into giving you a near $100,000. Those are freedoms that you don't have when you're married. So I would say don't rush in. Only fools rush in. I'll just coin that phrase right now. It's never been used in any media up until now, but it is one that I'm just going to bust out off the top of my head at this moment in time. Well, the stream health is good. I'm glad the stream health is doing good. I've kind of burned through everything, so we're doing a good job of that. I guess this is a related topic, and one which really not the most interesting, but I thought it was kind of interesting because Jack Black to me is a guy who's a big name. And you can see the headline here in Variety.com. Jack Black became a YouTuber because of a failed TV project. So look, I can relate to that as somebody who had a failed TV project, had pitched a TV show. That was my entire purpose of moving out here. I can certainly relate to the idea of you got to do something else when that doesn't work out. But this is fucking Jack Black. Like, I don't really get how this guy would go like, he's pitching Amazon, he's pitching HBO apparently. Yeah, as you can read in the article, as you can see on the screen right now, he's talking about it while he's on stage at E3. And now they're running a YouTube channel, and the truth hurts, but Post-Apocalypto is my pride and joy. I feel like it's an undiscovered masterpiece. Someday, long after I'm gone, people will discover Post-Apocalypto, Black joked. It's very awkward now. All right. So he was working on the show since 2016, then it premiered, then he pitched it to everybody, and then it didn't do that well, and he just went to a YouTube channel and made that instead. And I think that's totally fine. Like, I think that's a logical pivot, but you're Jack Black. Like, if I can't pitch a TV show, that's fine, because I'm a person who's not famous, who doesn't have this gigantic following from, years of doing diverse things. Jack Black can go do concerts and people will buy his concert tickets to go see Tenacious D. Jack Black can do movies. Jack Black is in movies right now. He was in Jumanji, I think. He was in Goosebumps, which they ruined that. But he's been in so many things. It's wild to me in this world where every fucking person seems to have a show, and people who really shouldn't have a show have shows. And I could have almost had a show. I think Jack Black should just be a guy you just give a show to and just trust that it'll find viewership and whatever. And that's the weird thing, I think, with the content business right now is there's a lot of free money going around for various people, a lot of shit just floating around, but also a lot of people who just kind of, I don't know, who don't get their due for reasons that are unclear. And I'll put myself in that criteria, but also like, I think there's a lot of overthinking of things. Like in my experience, that was it, where they were like, yeah, we can't do a show about a fictionalized version of Barstool because, white men are not in vogue right now, basically. Or rather the exact quote, as I mentioned on the stream before, is that we don't want a show about white men behaving badly because they just didn't want problematic white men, so to speak, even though the show wasn't about race and wasn't about white guys and was in fact very culturally diverse for my writing. But I think if you're Jack Black, just the force of will and being famous, there are so many people who like can pump their numbers up with fake following on Twitter and on Instagram and look like you actually have reach. Jack Black's a guy who actually has reach and has fame and has done things. And it's really strange to me that he would be here on YouTube. I think it's great that more people are on YouTube. I think it's obviously great that I'm on YouTube. I think we can all see the massive gains I'm making there on the channel that I can't reclaim and monetize. But I think there is a thing with Jack Black, and he's a big enough name where he should just get whatever he wants for the most part. Not even a guy who's had like a problematic background. He's just a guy who produced something and wanted to get it sold, and then it couldn't get sold. Really don't understand how that's possible in this day and age, but I kind of support him. Like, I think the idea of being an independent content creator is appealing to somebody in his shoes. Whereas for me, it's like, man, I wish I just had a fucking company who backed me and just like pumped my shit up and gave me all the resources to kind of do that. And that's kind of what the world is. It's like everybody who's on the one side wants to go the other way. Everybody who's like got an established following and works for a company that's big, they think they want to go on Patreon. And it's like, when you're actually on the Patreon side, unless you're a person with big old titties, or on the YouTube side, unless you're a person with big old titties. I think any situation, there's never a bad time in which having big old titties is not going to help you in the content game. There's actually one girl, I talked about one girl before, a different girl on Patreon who is just somebody I know through my time doing the old Tinder roundup for Barstool. I'm wondering if I'm like sweating through this hat. I feel like my air conditioning isn't on right now. And this girl who has like, I think they're 32 like boobs, I think is what she had, because the joke I had made was like, oh, when them titties so big it becomes an imaginary number. Like, I think that was the joke I had. So that's the only reason I remember it, not from any sort of weird fetish thing. And she launched the Patreon that instantly made, I believe it was 20 grand a month. And then it's trickled down because she's like not going nude. And obviously if you're a guy paying for titties on Patreon, you want to see at least the actual titties. You can't just do like pasties all the time and get by, because guys are paying for something there. There's an exchange going on where they're trying to get something out of it. And she made so much money. But now there's another girl I know, sort of like same thing, where like not a person I really know, but a person who I've talked to a little bit. And she's got a Patreon where she like posts hoey things, and it's like her in a bikini washing her car or whatever. But then it's also her posting her podcast, which like talking about sex. And it's like, all right, I get what you're trying to do. Like, you're an aspiring stand-up comedian who happens to be hot and you can use that. But like, people are then like, she posts the feedback and stuff because that's what you do to fan things. If you're a smart person, not like me, who just kind of floats through and assumes people will eventually find things. Like, she's posting all these compliments from guys, and it's like, man, your video was so hot, and I love your podcast. You're so honest about sex. And it's like, you're not, like, they're not tuning in because you're so funny. Like, they're not getting on there. And it's a really big advantage to have. Like, even if you're Jack Black, I think if he were like the hot chick version of Jack Black, I feel like he could do that a little more credibly. The YouTube seems like it's going well for him, I guess, but it is a thing that kind of sucks as a male content creator, is you really got to be like above board with everything. And even if you are really good, even if you're like me and you've worked in content for 10 years, over 10 years at this point, as like a full-time job, and before that for just fun and kicking around, it's hard, man. It's hard to kind of get that headway unless you're just tweeting all the time and you're trying to do that. And that's never going to be my thing. And it's a nice life to be a girl with tits, because people will tell you your podcast is great. That is the main thing that I would recommend for anybody out there. If you're a man or woman, really just get titties if you're going to work in the content game, because that's all you need. it is the finals tonight, and I feel like I should jump off soon so I can go do some other stuff related to the finals. I got to do some daily fantasy sports lineups, and this video is a little bit short, and I think the streaming thing kind of fucked me up. I really hate the live streaming process, honestly, on YouTube. Like, I like the concept of it. I like being able to jump on and do shit and whatever, but like, it never works correctly for me on the first try. And then I'm kind of always just like flustered when I start the stream, and it kind of takes me a little bit to ramp up. But because the way these videos work, you gotta really come out like guns a-blazing. And when you start slow and you're like, oh, all right, well, here's what's going on. Am I live? I don't know. Like, it kind of fucks up the process a little bit. So I'll try to get better at that moving forward. Trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to hit on. That's all the visual aids that I looked at. I should go back to the fucking Wheel of Fortune thing. Can't believe that Wheel of Fortune thing is from fucking 2014. Let's see my Twitter notifications. Oh, Joe Amati followed me. Thanks, Joe Amati. Mambo Baddest. That's his name. All right, cool. Yeah, I don't know. It's sort of a weird experience trying to do the streaming thing, and also doing it without video games. Like, maybe I'm just more of a Twitch streamer where it's easier just to not prepare and just play a video game for an hour and then bullshit with people than it is to actually prepare content and prepare like visual notes and prepare like things to turn to. So we'll see what the future holds for me and my new pal Joe Amati, who I'm sure is watching the stream right now. I don't know. That's all I have for this week, I think. So let's get off. Let's go do NBA final stuff. Let's root for a Game 7, even though I have to do more work if there's a Game 7. I'm rooting for that. I think the symmetry of the Warriors coming back from a 3-1 deficit after they blew that 3-1 lead that started this whole new dynasty with Kevin Durant. I think that'd be a fun symmetry to the world, but I also think everybody is picking that, and that might be a situation where if you go the other way, perhaps you're doing a little better with the world, because whenever the public thinks one thing, they're often wrong. That is one rule of betting. And if you are all thinking one thing, I think there might be a chance it goes the other way. So if the Warriors end up losing Game 6, be a bit of a downer from a storytelling perspective, but wouldn't be shocking in the least. So we'll find out in a little bit. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in and dealing with all my technical issue headaches. I'll be back next Thursday. I'll prepare a little bit more stuff because sometimes they go fast, sometimes they go slow. It's hard to tell when you're talking by yourself, but we'll be back next week here. Subscribe, hit that notification bell to know when I go live again, and go follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Chris Spags. Tune into the Untitled Chris Spags podcast show where there's all the prep in the world every Saturday morning coming out on the West Coast. So go check that out on your podcast app du jour, and go to the Patreon as well, patreon.com/Chris Spags, doing shows there every week on Wednesdays, whatever day it was yesterday, for $4.20 a month. So go support independent media. Support me, not Jack Black. What the fuck did Jack Black do for you? Jack Black wasn't here working for free. He's getting $13 million off YouTube. I'm just here, just grinding. So please go check that out on Patreon. But I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you again soon.